You asked the question. I'm going to answer your question.
Now you're gonna yell
This
at
was
me?
what I spent
You're
my
going to yell at me.
time doing.
I'm a
I
survivor
spent
trying to look out for other
well,
survivors trying to
and
take
I
care of
was
them.
taking care
You
of
waited
the
6
people
months
who
to
lost
get here today.
3,000
6 months,
lives.
and now
Yield to Ms. Nice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Secretary, thank you for returning this afternoon. Secretary Clinton, is your husband someone the committee should investigate?
My husband will be here tomorrow. You'll have a chance to ask him questions.
So my question is your husband someone this committee should investigate?
Asked and answered.
Apparently you are. You've subpoenaed him. He's going to be here tomorrow.
In your testimony before the break, you discussed why you believe President Trump should testify before our committee due to a, quote, pattern of behavior, end quote. You testified that a pattern of behavior warrants accountability. So I want to make sure I understand your standard correctly. The pattern of behavior you describe includes being held civilly liable, indictments, sexually deviant behavior, correct?
Yes.
In 1998, your husband was found civilly liable for sexual misconduct with Paula Jones and settled for $850,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh,
By your standard of pattern of
She
behavior,
admitted to
should your
that?
husband testify before this committee?
He is testifying tomorrow.
On December 19th, 1998,
And she stayed
President
with
Clinton
him.
was impeached on charges of perjury
Hold it
and
down.
obstruction of justice, which directly related to his extramarital affair with Monica Lewinsky. Is that correct?
Yes.
damn.
And your husband was impeached for perjury related to sexual behavior, correct?
I didn't understand what you said.
Your husband was impeached for perjury related to sexual behavior, his sexual behavior.
He was impeached for several
Okay,
reasons.
she ain't admitting to that.
And then was acquitted in the Senate.
And your husband flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane 17 to 26 times, correct?
He made several trips with different legs on the trip, as I recall.
But he flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane
Yes, he
17 to
did.
26 times? Were you aware that Secret Service was dropped on some of those flights?
That is not my understanding.
Where they were not on some of those flights?
That is not my
So
understanding.
your understanding is that Secret Service was on all of the flights that President Clinton was on?
That is
with
my
Epstein?
understanding.
That is my understanding.
By this standard of behavior, multiple credible accusers, including Juanita Broderick, who alleged rape against your husband. Your husband was disbarred in Arkansas, lost his law license before the Supreme Court, flew on Epstein's plane dozens of times, visited Epstein's island.
That is not true.
Whoa.
That is absolutely untrue.
Well, there's documentation in the DOJ files. I'm not sure you're aware, your attorneys have told you, but Jeffrey Epstein told one of the victims to lie to investigators, to lie that Bill Clinton was ever on Epstein Island. I can provide that document to your
We would like that
attorneys.
document, please.
Yeah, counsel,
I can
because
do that.
actually the files say just the opposite. Epstein himself denied he was.
These are FBI notes from an interview with a victim, and I can get you the victim number and the case number and the files. These are notes from a 302
If
interview.
you'd like those, are you going to provide those now?
That's not my line of questioning. She brought it up, but I have a
I'm
document I
sorry,
can get to
you're
you.
making a representation
Yeah.
as to the facts.
I didn't enter anything as an exhibit.
But it's factually inaccurate.
No, I can give it to you later. I can go find the document, make copies of it, and give it to you this afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
By your standard of pattern of behavior,
Get up.
according to documents released by the Department of Justice, your husband appears in photos in swimming pools, hot tubs, aboard Jeffrey Epstein's private plane with unidentified young women. We came here today and you told this committee that a pattern of behavior demands accountability, correct?
I said that I believe the committee should call anyone who had a substantial pattern and practice of contact with Jeffrey Epstein and his crimes before they came to light.
Does that include your husband?
And after they came to light. You're going to have a chance to question him tomorrow.
So I'll ask you again by the
She's
standard
not
you
gonna say
just
yes,
set in your
bro.
own words
Go
just
to the
now.
next question.
Does this standard apply equally to your husband or only President Trump?
I have said that my husband has been subpoenaed.
Only Trump,
He
you know,
will
that's what she-
appear.
come on, bro.
He will answer your questions to the best of his ability, but there is no evidence whatsoever of any connection
evidence?
with Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, and I think that that will be obviously apparent in the questioning.
What makes you so sure of that then? I mean, he's photographed with.
Objection
No,
is to speculate on something that's not.
Yeah,
evidence.
it is so speculative. I mean, swimming in a pool, sitting in a hot tub, there are millions of people who do that without any improper behavior or certainly committing any crimes. So I
Do you think most of
uh,
the men are like your husband that did anything wrong by where they're being surrounded by young women, giving them massages on Jeffrey's private estate or private plane? Are they all innocent then?
You know,
Just
you
because-
are making assumptions in your questions that have not been proven and I don't believe are provable.
Whoa,
Okay.
what does
Why
that
did-
mean?
Why did you wait 6 months to have this hearing today or have this testimony?
You know, I've answered that. I thought that given the way that other witnesses who were subpoenaed at the same time were being treated, that there was an unfair treatment of both my husband and myself. And I thought that, especially from my perspective, I had very little, if any, information to provide you, and that I could have done it in a sworn statement, and you could have moved on to depose somebody else who might have more information that would be beneficial to your
I have two more
investigation.
questions, then we're going to pass it to Congresswoman.
This is
Congresswoman
really just
Luna.
all about her
After
husband
Jeffrey
cheating on
Epstein
her.
was
She probably
convicted,
don't
did it
know
concern
about that.
you at all that you had taken a substantial amount of money from Jeffrey Epstein?
That's an inappropriate assumption. I did not take a substantial amount of money from Jeffrey Epstein. So far as I know, Jeffrey Epstein contributed to the joint committee that was supporting my Senate race.
Which was how much?
I believe I was told $20,000.
You don't consider $20,000 substantial?
I do
No,
not consider
she-
it relevant to me because I have
Super
no
rich.
recollection that I ever knew that he gave any money to
So
the
you
joint
didn't talk to
committee.
your donors, they gave $20,000 to your campaign?
My understanding of the rules back then is that there was no coordination between the committee and the campaign. So, no, I have no recollection.
But that doesn't
of
mean you
knowing that.
can't speak to your donors. That doesn't prohibit, the law does
Don't-
not prohibit you speaking to
But I
donors.
didn't know he was a donor. As far as I knew, he was not a donor until I learned this in
Did it
preparation
concern you at
for
all
the
that Ghislaine
testimony.
Maxwell was heavily involved with people you knew and were close to?
I knew people that I knew her. Yes, that's true.
And you just shrugged, you didn't want to look into it or
You know,
have any
nobody,
question
you know,
about it?
until her crimes were revealed and she was indicted and tried and convicted, I don't think people knew very much about at all
And
what
then
she
how do
was
you know
doing.
Howard Lutnick?
I know Howard Lutnick because when I was senator on 9/11, the firm he headed, Cantor Fitzgerald, suffered the greatest loss of life. As I recall, something like 650 of his employees were murdered by terrorists that day. Howard Lutnick missed being a
Y'all forgive me,
victim
but I was
because
about to
he
say, like,
was delayed dropping
know
his
that.
Don't
child
get off rail.
to kindergarten. You asked the question. I'm going to answer your question.
We need all
This
that.
was what I spent my
Oh,
time
shit.
doing.
I'm a
I
survivor
spent
trying to look out for other
well,
survivors, trying to
and
get to the
I
bottom
was
of it.
taking care
You
of
waited
the
6
people
months
who
to
lost
get here today.
3,000
6 months,
lives
and now you're being
at World
defiant
Trade
and
Center.
indignant today.
You asked me
I have
about
met
Howard
with Epstein
Lutnick.
survivors. I'm a survivor myself. You have emails. You've denied that Jeffrey Epstein, that you tried to get Jeffrey Epstein to give money to you.
I did
but
not.
Howard Lutnick was
If
used
you
to
have an
get
email
money.
with me asking Jeffrey
I
Epstein
have
for
an
money,
email from Howard Lutnick sending it to
what's
Jeffrey
the question?
Epstein and his
What's the-
people to
I
raise
don't-
money for
I don't
you
know about-
for an event, an intimate event for you at his offices
Well,
at Cantor Fitzgerald. You're
look,
going to sit
if
here
you-
today
if you would
and,
let me
and,
finish.
and obfuscate and say to this committee, you didn't try to get money from Jeffrey
I didn't.
Epstein when
I
there was an
didn't.
intimate event.
She had a
in an
middleman
email
do it.
That Howard Lutnick emailed to Epstein's people and Epstein to get him to come to your intimate event at Cantor Fitzgerald, a very small event. And so I'm not going to put. You want to yell at me? That's fine, but I'll yell right back.
Well,
okay? I am looking out for
it's
survivors.
very-
I'm doing
look.
the job that you would not do and refuse to do as Secretary of State. Thank you, and I yield back to
no,
Congresswoman.
I'm going to finish answering the
Get
question,
up.
which I have a right to do. I am very sympathetic to your personal situation. I have read about it. I have seen you testify or speak on the floor about it. And I very much sympathize with not only what you went through, but appreciate your effort to stand up for survivors. I was a senator representing the people who were murdered on 9/11. Nobody lost more people than Howard Lutnick. You can say whatever you want. You can call him and have him appear before the committee. But I knew him as the man who lost the employees that he knew intimately, including his brother.
and he was a
so
double
I
threat between
work-
you and
Let
Jeffrey
her finish
Epstein
her
raising
answer,
money
please.
for you.
Let her finish her
You
answer.
know what?
No, don't let her finish that
If you
bullshit.
don't want
ass
to
answer.
hear what emotionally affected me, that's fine. But that's why I know Howard Lutnick. I went to the memorial service every 9/11 after the formal service was
I
held.
see what you're
with
doing here.
all,
and you're
with all of his
questions. He was
people, the
go-between
families.
between you and Jeffrey Epstein raising money.
Excuse me, can I interrupt?
I have
There are
another.
photos that are being released of the secretary as she is testifying from inside this room. Can you please advise me as to whether or not that's permissible and consistent with the rules, particularly given that we have asked for a public hearing? If there are photos that are being released of the secretary as she is testifying, can you please explain how that
I'm
can
done with
occur?
this. If you guys are doing that, I am done. You can hold me in contempt from now until the cows come home. This is just typical behavior.
We will go off the record.
She's trying to find any
Oh,
reason to get out of
I'd
there.
like to understand how that's permissible.
Before the hearing was,
It doesn't
Excuse me.
matter. We all are abiding by the same rules.
I will take that down.
Yeah,
So I would
well,
like to take a break at this moment.
yeah,
I'd like to have
I'm
a
done
conversation.
for now.
She couldn't wait to get
Go
up
off
out
the
of
record.
there.
Go off the record.
She pulled a bird, man.
We'll go back on the record.
Yeah, sit your ass back
The
down.
majority's time had approximately 5 minutes left in it. I believe that the witness or her counsel would like to make a quick statement.
Thank you so much. We've just used the break because we learned during the process of these hearings that the committee was violating its own rules in members tweeting and sharing pictures of what is going on inside this closed hearing, a hearing that we have asked repeatedly to be open to the public.
A
Chairman
picture?
Comer was gracious enough to
No
engage
sound, no
with me
video?
on this matter. We asked specifically to invite the press in, since the committee had already made decisions on its own unilaterally to release pictures and other things that are going on in this room. He indicated that he wanted to speak to that himself directly. I'd like to just say for the record, we find it unacceptable, we find it unprofessional, and we find it unfair. We are looking forward to this being conducted under the rules and being conducted consistent with the expectations of how members of Congress, I know, take this matter so seriously and do it in that vein. We would also like to just indicate as a practical reality that we are here in good faith. We are counting on the good faith of all the members.
Thank you. Chairman Comer.
Yeah, I'd like to state for the record, I've advised my members that no photos or videos during the deposition can be released.
Okay,
I
photos as
understand
well.
the posted photo was taken before the deposition started. We will, that will not happen again, and we will look forward to continuing with the deposition.
I'd like to make just a clarification there, Mr. Chairman. It was taken in this room after the witness sat down. It is not a basis that because
And-
she had not started speaking, that it would be appropriate for there to have been a release of anything that was occurring in this room.
And we have made clear that that's not allowed. And I will also say we were disappointed that the Secretary's opening statement was leaked to the press before she even gave her opening statement.
So the Secretary's statement was not leaked to the press. It was provided, as with other witnesses, including Mr. Wexner, who provided his before giving. Hers was given simultaneous. And so what we don't want is the Secretary to be treated any differently than other witnesses. That seems to be a consistent pattern, and we would love that pattern not to continue.
We've gone to great lengths to make all the.
Man, why y'all
accommodations that you
apologizing
all
to
have
her ass,
requested.
man?
So
She
we
could-
will-
she loving
again,
this shit.
The members have been advised that is unacceptable. So
Thank you.
we look forward to continuing the
Thank you
deposition.
very much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you addressing it.
Ranking member.
See, ooh, that shit
Garcia.
actually worked.
Thank you. No, I just want to add it's
She's
completely
slick. I like it.
unacceptable
I like it and I don't like
that
it.
oversight Republicans and its members in this moment chose to violate both committee rules and the agreement that they
Bro,
negotiated
shut up.
directly with Secretary Clinton. Now, the Clintons requested a public hearing specifically to avoid this exact situation.
We get it.
Now, Secretary Clinton has offered to continue speaking throughout this deposition if we also allow the press to come in and on the record. Now, the majority has continued to refuse this. I want to make very clear for the record that Oversight Democrats.
It's
For your
the
time today.
president.
Thank you for your service. We have, as you know, in the files that were released, there were several photos, included you, and we have an exhibit here. That's just one of the photos, and Exhibit K, Minority Exhibit K.
Yep.
And
Don't even wanna look at it.
We'll have that passed around. And what we're
Are
trying
they
to
looking
get
at
at
it?
is some context for the public on whether you remember this photo and any details you may be able to provide us about it. So do you recall the details of this photo, recall the photo being taken?
No, I don't think I ever knew the photo was taken.
Okay, and for those who can't see it, it's a photo of you in a hot tub. There's a person next to you here. Do you remember where it was taken? Where was it taken?
I'm almost sure that this taken, I think there's an adjacent photograph, which you probably have, that if people saw it, they would feel that someone was trying to con them showing this picture. But anyway,
Huh?
This picture was taken in Brunei. And
Well, the girls are young.
we flew one night
Why?
on a trip to Asia, the last very long leg.
He said we, is it, who is that including?
Well, my TIL team that was
Okay.
working
Thank you.
on the AIDS issue, and Mr. Epstein was there, and
Okay.
Miss Maxwell. But anyway, we got to
Why?
the end of the flight was Brunei. It's a tiny place, but a very wealthy one, and the Sultan of Brunei
Very wealthy.
was a
The
man
girls
that
get
I
married
had
super
gotten to
young.
know well in my 8 years as president. And his first involvement with international matters is basically to join the Asian Pacific Economic Leaders Conference, which I started and which he attended. And so, and then he was very proud of that. And
How did
he
you get in the
hosted-
hot tub?
His time came to host it. You know, you do these things in rotation. And it came at either at the very end of my term or maybe the next year. Anyway, he wanted, when he knew I was coming, and he said he wanted to help me with my AIDS initiative, and he invited me to stay there. And he said, I want you to stay at this hotel, and I hope you'll use the pool. So I did, and then I got out and went to bed, exhausted.
Just for the
Cap.
record, there's another picture that also shows this as part of the larger pool area. Do you all have that so that he can refresh his recollection with respect to that?
We should have it. It's quite enlightening. If you watch this,
Yes, it's noted,
it'll
yes.
give you a different feel.
Thank you.
Okay.
We don't have it
They
with us
trying to
right
give
now.
you a
Okay.
different
We do.
I
feel.
just wanted to make sure that you were-
And so were there other people in that pool or hot tub with you as well?
I don't think there's anybody in the hot tub. I didn't forgotten that there was anybody in the hot tub, but it was big, but it was about,
Well, there's
He's asking in the pool
it appears
area.
this photo, there's a girl over here, or there's someone.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know who that is.
But he's also asking in the pool area.
I bet you
I
don't.
don't know who that is.
Okay, so you don't know?
No, and then there were other people in the pool.
Okay, so do you remember were they under 18? Would you
No.
know? No.
But you don't know
Part of
who
your
it is.
traveling party, he's asking you.
No. Oh, he was like, that would have been a good
Yes.
lie.
They
Oh, he
were,
lied.
I think everybody there was part of our party. It was
This
late at
nigga
night
lied.
or late-ish, and I also believe that there was a Secret Service agent there at the other end of the pool.
Okay, and was this in public?
No.
No, it was a hotel room, and the Sultan wanted us to stay there, and the water of this big pool was on the same floor that there were several suites, so we went out, I swam around, I sat in the hot tub for 5 minutes, or whatever it was, and I got up and went to bed.
That's
I knew that he knew, at some point I knew that he knew Ghislaine Maxwell. But I did not know, I don't think, that he knew Epstein.
So is that a yes that you had communications with him?
No, we never had any,
Is your question communications about Epstein and Maxwell?
Correct.
Just generally as a conversation, like you're together? Can you just
Yes.
elaborate more so he can better answer your question?
Mr. President, did you ever have any communications with Prince Andrew related to Mr. Epstein or Miss Maxwell?
yes, of course.
the direct answer to your question is no, but I don't want to mislead you. I know that because of my friendship with Evelyn and Lynn Rothschild, and because the former prince was around them, and they knew Ghislaine Maxwell from Britain and through her father, her late father. there may have been some conversation there. I don't remember it, but I don't want to mislead you. I knew something that,
Yeah, something come out that
Thank
he,
you.
The
yeah.
question, because it's so broad, means that
He don't
any
know how-
social
he don't know-
engagement
he don't know
is
what
like
evidence
that
I
would be
got.
captured.
Yeah,
So
I
I think
didn't-
what he's trying to
I don't
distinguish
look-
between is what you're trying to learn and just social engagement.
Yes.
That's a good lawyer.
if I had a
Shout out to
social
Black Label.
engagement with Andrew,
Related to Mr. Epstein.
not
or
related
Ms.
to him,
Maxwell.
no,
Thank you. Peter Mandelson.
no,
Said that fast?
Mohammed bin Salman.
no,
Larry Page.
no,
Sergey Brin.
no.
So let's
He don't know.
talk
He don't know.
about
Now he
Larry
don't know about
Summers.
it.
You mentioned that you had communications with him related to Maxwell and Epstein. What were the nature of those?
For the record, he said with Epstein, just to
Just
clarify.
Epstein.
Just Epstein. Thank you. You mentioned that you had communications with Larry Summers related to Mr. Epstein. Can you describe the nature of those communications?
Yes, as I said before, he called me on the phone. He knew what I was trying to do with this AIDS work and how important it was to me. And he said he had just talked to Jeffrey Epstein, who he's described as a successful investment advisor who made a lot of money and had made a large commitment to Harvard to brain research. And he said he wants to talk to you about politics and economics, and he says if you will take an hour on the longer legs of these trips he knows you're going to make to Africa and Asia to talk to him about it, that he will fly you on his airplane, and your staff, and your Secret Service detail, and any other people you want to take.
But
who
you got
are
an airplane.
supporting your work.
Don't you have an airplane as the president?
And you mentioned these communications were related to the work of your foundation. Did you ever have any other communications with Larry Summers related?
Oh, I hate this, but because I don't believe I should inject anything. But I do not want to leave the impression, but since there was no follow-up question, he never, the president never, this is 20-something years ago, never said anything to me to make me think he was involved in anything improper with regard to Epstein either. He just didn't. He
So
just
why
said
your wife saying
we were
otherwise?
friends. And then we had a falling out over a land deal, property deal. That's all.
Thank you. Could I ask very briefly, Mr. President,
Sure.
if you recall, what were the circumstances of that conversation? Or at least let's start with, when did the conversation occur?
Damn, Bill on his
We
way out.
were-
Anyway, we gotta
It
stop
was on
fucking
his
with
golf
this nigga.
course. And there were a couple of years there when Joe Torre, who had been the manager of the Yankees and was a friend and had a tournament, a charity golf tournament, called appropriately for this investigation, the Safe at Home Foundation. And it was designed to combat domestic violence, of which Joe Torre had been a victim as a child.
They always
And
pulling these
so-
emotional stories out, bro, to answer one
I
question.
wanted to support it. And so then Donald Trump gave him the golf course in New York to have a tournament on, and I played in it a couple of times. And the day I was there, he would typically, Donald Trump would come out and play a few holes with us. And he somehow knew I had flown in Jeffrey Epstein's aircraft, and he said, you know, we had some great times together over the years, but we fell out, all because of a real estate deal. And he said, I'm sorry it happened. That's all.
But you
Do
remember
recall
that,
whether
but you
President
don't know who was in
Trump
that
was
pool.
the first one to affirmatively bring up the subject of Jeffrey Epstein?
No, he did.
No, but I'd be shocked if I did. I just don't do that. You know.
Do you recall whether President Trump elaborated at all on the great times that he had with Jeffrey
No.
Epstein?
No, and I took, at the time, I didn't put any, sexual spin on it.
And as far as you recall, President Trump characterized
Yeah,
the
he did.
nature
It's
of
like
the
Kevin.
ending of their friendship
That's how that
as being
lawyer got nervous when he
solely
said that.
due to the real estate
That's
bidding
what he
problem.
said.
Thank you.
But I didn't think much about it at the time. And, it was 2 minutes and then we were gone.
As far as you recall, have you had any other conversations with President Trump related to Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell?
No,
And your best recollection, if you have one, of the year that this conversation occurred?
maybe 2002 or 2003.
Thank you.
But
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon.